There's no such thing as a warm call. You're either making a cold call, the person doesn't know you, doesn't expect to hear from you, or it's hot. You get the referral introduction.
Welcome back. Delighted to have you again, and delighted to have Joanne with me. Joanne Black, welcome.
Thank you, John.
Hey, Joanne, we've been having some great discussions about referral selling and so on. Look, the question comes to mind, and there's a lot of people out there talk about, well, not just cold calling, but warm approaches, warm calls. And they say there's a way in which you do your cold calls where you get a warm approach. What do you think about that?
You may know by now, but I call it the warm call fantasy.
Okay.
There's really no such thing as a warm call. Here's the way it works. Call is either cold, you don't know the person, they don't expect to hear from you, or it's hot. You receive a referral introduction.
And they expect to hear from you.
Absolutely. They welcome your call. You actually get every meeting with one call because you've been introduced by someone your prospect knows and trusts.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there that talk about doing things to instead of being cold, you're warming it up, and you're saying then you're not really doing that at all. It's a fantasy.
It is fantasy because here's how they think. They think that, well, I can research them, which is imperative. We must do that background research. I identify trigger events. Do you know how tired I am of that term? And therefore, I know what's going on in the company. They're expanding. They're going international. They have a new CEO, a new head of sales, whatever it is. Trigger events. So then I can send an email telling them why it's so important that they talk to me. And it doesn't matter because it's still cold. And it can be an email. It can be a social media outreach. It can be a phone call.
Let me ask a question. I'll try and put this in perspective. A cold call, I understand. It is totally cold. Mm-hmm. If you have a trigger, you've done some research, you looked at some insight, hey, I've got something of value to talk to this person, and you're able to refer to those, you might increase the chance of them being interested in talking to you. But marginally is what you're saying.
Might.
Where, by comparison to getting that proper referral.
Well, why would salespeople waste their time doing that? When your cold outreach takes 8 to 15 touches to reach someone, I mean, that's insanity. And as a sales leader, why would I want my team doing it? But they have to do it because I'm telling them they have to make X number of calls a day, send X number of emails a day. And ultimately, they will get a meeting.
Okay, let's put something to you, though. If I identify a trigger, and I know you hate that term, but let me just say there's a trigger. There's something that happened in the company or the industry or whatever that means they will be thinking about this subject, okay? And now I get a referral to somebody in that organisation that I know will be thinking about it. Put the two together, you've got a very powerful story, haven't you?
Of course you have. And you need to get those insights. I'm not debating that. Mm-hmm. Critical. But will you really get the insights about the person? Is from the person who refers you.
Right.
That's what, in fact, I was introduced to the CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
Wow.
I didn't realize at the time that he was the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, but I was introduced by his best customer, who was the head of worldwide sales. And I had an amazing conversation with him. What he said to me was that what he wanted from salespeople were insights. He didn't want any pitching, because you think about it, these people really live in somewhat of a bubble. And we as salespeople are out there, we're learning from everybody, and we can share that. But the person who referred me gave me a lot of personal insights about him. Now, would I have gotten a meeting with that CEO if I'd cold called?
Almost definitely not, I'd say.
Definitely not. No way at all. A 30-minute meeting. And it was remarkable. I learned so much that I never would have.
It sounds like researching for your book, was it?
Yes, okay. That's right. Exactly.
All right. So, I think I'm getting the concept of what you're talking about, and I certainly agree. In my mind, cold calling is dead, and you're saying warm approaches are dead too. You really have only the one choice if you want to drive a significant change in your business, and that is the referral.
Absolutely, John.
And the thing that you've made really evident in my mind, you're talking about a referral to somebody from somebody that know each other really well. You don't want a referral from somebody to somebody where they don't know them well. It's going to be meaningless.
It is meaningless. And a lot of people try to get in, and I've seen this, and it really frosts me because I think it's duplicitous. They will leave a message for somebody junior, and then they will call that person's boss and said, I just contacted so-and-so, and she said I should talk to you. That happens a lot.
Yeah, and to me, it's a manipulative approach.
It is.
And you won't get any credit for doing it. In fact, they'll look at you as somebody they really don't. They want the lack of trust will grow. Lack of distrust will grow.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we have to earn trust. That doesn't just happen. We earn it with a referral introduction. And that's how business decisions are made. In fact, I have a meeting shortly, and I know the head of sales. And he loves referral selling. He's bought into it. He has a proposal. We're ready to go. And then he said to me, we need to schedule lunch with our CEO because he has to meet the person and know that he can trust the person before we do business.
That's the old adage in sales that we do business with people we like, know, and trust.
That's right.
And I don't think that will ever change. Despite all the artificial intelligence and everything else that's happening in robotics and and so on. And let's have a discussion about in the future about how the sales role is changing, whether it will become obsolete. But there's a lot of discussion about that. But the reality in my mind, particularly at business to business where there's some complexity in the decision process and so on, we as salespeople have got a lot of value to bring, and it's through the referral that we start that building trust approach.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm talking too much. Let's summarise this discussion.
That there's no such thing as a warm call. You're either making a cold call, the person doesn't know you, doesn't expect to hear from you, or it's hot. You get the referral introduction. And
based on one of our earlier discussions, 95% of companies have not got a systemised approach to doing referral selling, and the metrics show that if they did, they'd get enormous results. So forget that cold calling, forget the warm calling. Let's focus on referral selling is what you're saying.
Yes.
Look forward to further discussions. Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you, John.